Returning to May 2nd, 2011, a small group of elite US Navy SEALs carried out an operation in which, after an exchange of gunfire, they seized the body of Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden in the town of Abbottabad, north of Pakistan. Welcome to a new video of a historical journey. Today, we present to you the death of Osama bin Laden, a major victory in the war on terror. The death of Osama bin Laden marked a significant milestone in the fight against terrorism, particularly in relation to the events following the September 11, 2001 attacks in the United States. Osama bin Laden, the leader of the terrorist network Al-Qaeda, was considered the mastermind behind those attacks. At that time, Osama bin Laden led Al-Qaeda. But what is Al-Qaeda? Al-Qaeda is a transnational terrorist organization that gained worldwide notoriety due to its attacks, with the most notable being the ones on September 11, 2001 in the United States. It was founded in 1988 by Osama bin Laden and other jihadists who participated in the fight against the Soviet occupation in Afghanistan during the 1980s. The term Al-Qaeda means the base. The organization initially emerged with the goal of supporting Afghan mujahideen in their struggle against Soviet occupation. After the Soviet withdrawal, Al-Qaeda diversified and expanded its objectives, adopting a global approach to Islamic jihad against what they perceived as enemies of Islam, especially the United States and its allies. Al-Qaeda was responsible for numerous terrorist attacks before and after the September 11, 2001 attacks. In addition to the attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, Al-Qaeda has carried out attacks on US embassies, hotels, and other Western targets in various parts of the world. The ideology of Al-Qaeda is based on extremist interpretations of Islam, and its main goal is to establish an Islamic Caliphate based on its particular interpretations of Islamic law. The organization has been involved in armed conflicts in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, and other regions. But what is the Caliphate? The Caliphate is a form of government in the Islamic tradition that has its roots in the leadership model established after the death of the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century. The Caliphate is the political and religious authority held by the supreme leader of the Muslim community, known as the Caliph. The Caliphate plays a central role in Islamic history and theology. A contradictory behavior, as the Prophet Muhammad, also known as Muhammad in Arabic, is the central figure in Islam and is considered the last prophet in Islamic tradition. He was born in the city of Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula around the year 570 AD and passed away in Medina in 632 AD. Muhammad is seen by Muslims as the messenger of God, Allah, and the final recipient of divine revelation, which was compiled into the Quran, the sacred book of Islam. Muhammad's life is recorded in Islamic teachings and in the tradition known as the Sunnah, which includes his sayings and actions recorded in the Hadiths, traditions. According to Islamic narrative, at the age of 40, while meditating in the cave of Hira outside Mecca, Muhammad received the first revelation from God through the Archangel Gabriel. These revelations continued for approximately 23 years and were later compiled into the Quran. Muhammad preached monotheism, calling for the exclusive worship of one God, and advocated for social justice, charity, and equality. In 622 AD, Muhammad emigrated from Mecca to Medina, an event known as the Hijra, marking the beginning of the Islamic calendar. During his life, Muhammad faced challenges, battles, and opposition, but he also succeeded in unifying the Arab tribes under the Islamic faith. The term caliph comes from the Arabic word khalifa, meaning successor or representative. The Caliph is considered the legitimate successor of Prophet Muhammad and is expected to guide the Muslim community in accordance with the principles of Islam. His authority extends not only to religious matters, but also to political and social aspects of the Muslim community's life. Before the events of September 11, 2001, there were several notable terrorist attacks that affected different parts of the world. Some of these attacks include: on February 26, 1993, a group of Islamic extremists carried out a bombing at the World Trade Center in New York. They detonated a bomb in the underground parking garage of the building with the intention of bringing down one of the Twin Towers. Although they did not achieve their goal, the attack resulted in 6 deaths and hundreds of injuries. On August 7, 1998, the US embassies in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Nairobi, Kenya, were simultaneously attacked with car bombs by members of Al-Qaeda. These attacks caused the death of over 200 people and left thousands injured. Osama bin Laden was identified as the mastermind behind these attacks. On October 12, 2000, the US Navy destroyer USS Cole was attacked in the port of Aden, Yemen. 2 suicide bombers drove a boat filled with explosives into the ship, causing the death of 17 sailors and leaving numerous others wounded. Al-Qaeda was also responsible for this attack. These events, along with other terrorist acts before September 11, 2001, contributed to the growing awareness of the global terrorism threat. However, the September 11th attacks stood out for their unprecedented skill and the impact they had on the perception of international security and responses to terrorism. Returning to May 2, 2011, a small group of elite US Navy SEALs carried out an operation in which, after an exchange of gunfire, they seized the body of Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden in the town of Abbottabad, north of Pakistan. The death of bin Laden was considered a significant blow against global terrorism and a historic moment for the United States. After intense intelligence and search operations, US Special Forces conducted a raid in the Pakistani city of Abbottabad, where bin Laden was hiding in a compound. During the operation, bin Laden was killed by the Navy SEALs, US Navy Special Warfare Development Group. The news of his death was announced by the then President of the United States, Barack Obama, in a televised address. The operation was named Operation Neptune Spear and was carried out in secret to avoid any resistance from Pakistani forces. Bin Laden's death was a major and symbolic event in the global fight against terrorism, as he had been the public face of Al-Qaeda and the primary orchestrator of the September 11th attacks. Bin Laden's death also led to increased cooperation between the United States and Pakistan in the fight against terrorism. Regarding the war on terror, it is important to note that, although bin Laden's death was a significant achievement, it did not mark the end of the global terrorist threat. The war on terror is a broad concept encompassing actions undertaken by various countries, primarily led by the United States, to address terrorist organizations and their networks worldwide. The threat of terrorism persists in various forms, with groups like the Islamic State, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda continuing their activities. Since bin Laden's death, there have been changes in the dynamics of global terrorism, and efforts to combat it have evolved. However, the fight against terrorism remains a constant challenge for the international community. In different corners of the world, recent history has been marked by acts of terrorism and violence that have left indelible scars. One of the darkest moments was on November 13, 2015, when Paris, the city of love, witnessed several coordinated attacks. ISIS militants carried out a series of assaults in different locations, including the Bataclan concert hall, where music and joy were abruptly interrupted by a hostage-taking that resulted in the tragic loss of over 130 lives. Not long after, on June 28, 2016, Istanbul's Ataturk International Airport became the scene of a suicide bombing. Attributed to ISIS, this act of violence claimed dozens of lives and left numerous others injured, reminding us of the vulnerability of public spaces to terrorist threats. London also experienced its own dark chapter on March 22, 2017, when an individual drove a vehicle into pedestrians on Westminster Bridge. This attacker, linked to Islamist extremists, didn't stop there and stabbed a police officer outside Parliament. 5 people lost their lives before the police shot down the assailant, leaving an indelible mark on the city's memory. In a shocking manifestation of hatred, on March 15, 2019, the city of Christchurch, New Zealand, witnessed a brutal attack. An armed individual carried out a mass shooting in 2 mosques during Friday prayers. Live streamed on social media, the attack resulted in a devastating toll. 51 people lost their lives and many more were injured. The perpetrator, motivated by white supremacy and anti-Muslim hatred, revealed the persistence of extremist ideologies that continue to threaten peace and tolerance. These events underscore the importance of global unity in the fight against terrorism and the promotion of peace and peaceful coexistence among communities. These are just a few examples, and unfortunately, there are many more acts of violence and terrorism that have affected different regions worldwide. Terrorist organizations such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda have carried out attacks in various places, and governments and communities continue to work together to address and prevent the threat of global terrorism. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you want more videos like this, subscribe and ring the bell. Share your opinion in the comments and share this video with those who might be interested. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so through Patreon, the link to which is on the channel page. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you on the next historical journey.